Good evening traders, it's Simon at Kairos Capital Markets with the weekly review of Aussie dollar, pound yen and euro dollar. So I know for the last few weeks I haven't done anything, and as any good trader will tell you, if you're not in the zone, not feeling it properly, you just have to walk away sometimes. And for the last couple of weeks I've not been feeling it, and to give people outlook advice on what's going to happen, it's not good if I'm not in that good in the zone as such. So the lesson so far already is, if you know you're not in the zone, just walk away, because I know in the past previously I've refused to listen to my head, and obviously then you just lose a lot of money, and I don't want to take the responsibility for other people losing money just for my poor judgment because of my head. So we're back in the game anyway. We've been in the game last week, in all fairness I was, so this is my first video breaking back into things. So to start with, we're going to look at the DXY here at the moment, and like I said for the last few weeks, I did expect a dollar pullback, and it's now happening this week. I think this week coming up for the 11th of June onwards, I'll feel that we would actually now move downwards. Now on the DXY on the weekly perspective, as you can see here already, I've already put down 91, 92 as my area. I know 93 can be seen on the weekly chart, but I don't think that's strong enough. 92 is here, where it's these lows here, and 91 would be between in this zone here of 90.5 and 92. So anything around, I'm just going to draw a little box here, any rejection around this area here, in this kind of blue box here, will be a very, very nice inverse head and shoulder pattern. And with this inverse head and shoulder pattern, we do the 1-to-1 pattern distance. We just go like that, do a 1-to-1 pattern distance, and you can already see already it will at least it should at least reach 100. So with that said, at the moment, so obviously I am, a dollar bull, and I'm looking for some confirmation of that to happen, and I believe the inverse head and shoulder pattern here will be what we're looking for. So when we come down to the daily chart, what do we have? I'm in a little bit of a mess here. We're going to have some, I think this week, a little bit of a bullish pullback to test the 94 area. I then think we'll drop back down again. And as we drop back down, this day 50 will start heading back down again. And that's why 92 is on the cards, because of this area here and here. So 92 is definitely on the cards. I think you'll stall at 93. I'd be quite surprised if we actually break up from 93. The reason why, you can see in the Fibonacci pullback, although it's the 32 is there, I think you need to find some buyers in the market for the dollar, and I just don't think it's going to turn just yet. I think the market will suck in the buyers early, then move down, stop you out, and then go up. That's what I'm expecting to happen on this occasion, just because of how bearish people see the dollar at the moment. But they're only looking at the overall trend of saying it's bearish going down. People are doing this on a daily, and they just think it'll go back down again to create this double bottom, but I really don't think it would. Anyway, that said, let's look at the three pairs we normally look at. So Aussie dollar, just going to show, I had it written here already. So if you can see here, I think 77 is a huge level here. So at the moment, we've got the Fibonacci 382, you've got the weekly 50 EMA, a key level here with 3 huge touches beforehand. And I just think it's an excellent value to get in at. Now, obviously, at this level as well, on the daily perspective, this upward sloping trend line testing the channel here. So here's the upward sloping trend line. Break to downside, come back up for a retest. I know we've kind of had that already, but with the fact that the the DXY, sorry, looks so it wants to come down further, I do think this will come up to test the 77 area, put some bearish pattern in, and then break down again. The reason why I think that as well is, if we look at the lower time frames here as well on Aussie dollar, as you can see here, I'm just going to take some of these lines out to make it a little bit clearer for you guys. You can see here already we actually have higher lows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 higher lows here. I know it's broken the 450 MA, but it's done it a couple of times and popped back up again. So for me personally, it hasn't put a proper double top pattern in, and it's consistently putting higher lows in. So for me, I feel that we are going to head back up higher to at least the 766, and maybe back into this zone here of 766 to 77. So that's what I'm looking for this week, in all fairness. And I do think that'll happen. You probably find that you might get a little double bottom here, another test of 757 for example, and then head back up afterwards. It does obviously depend on the Australian dollar itself, but that's what I'm kind of looking at to get in at. I think it will head back higher. So on euro dollar, very similar story here, and I think here I had this marked in the other day. As you can see, I do think 1.2 is a huge area of interest, and like I said, it was a selling interest from September last year, and that also put in your head and shoulder pattern in as well. So you got your left shoulder here, your head's here, and your right shoulder be here. That really does signify great value for money there to sell. And as you can see here as well, if you look at the weekly perspective, you can see now this zone here, we've been in this zone before a couple of times, once in 2015, once in 2016. We broke above it, tested it, come back up again, fell back down, put a nice little low test in here. It's a beautiful low test, then move back up afterwards. So I do see that going to 1.2 again. As you can see, you zoom out here, this yellow area here in the past has been key. So I do think a move to 1.2 is pretty much on the cards, and that's what I'll be expecting as well over the next couple of weeks or so. When we come to the lower time frames, this I think is cleaner. You've got a nice high volume low test there and a little doji afterwards. So for me personally, I do think this chart will head up afterwards. You can easily just put your trend line there as well. So that's perfectly how it is there for me personally. I like it, and as you can see here as well, we did break out of the downward sloping trend line a few weeks back. Didn't we get a proper test of it as such? We did break out, then chopped around, then moved back up afterwards. But for me, this is a good trade here itself in general. The only thing, some people don't want to trade through the 1 hour 50 EMA. For me personally, this is just low volume, wasn't going to move anywhere. I think it's good value. If you want to just give an example, guys, just sink the line there. Just so you know, you could get in there, no problem, have a safe trade like that there, and you can even just target the recent highs for 1% trade, no problem at all. Or if you're more daring and wanted to go for the 1.2 area, 1.99 just for example, it could be a 3% trade or so. You could go if you want a bit more breathing room. But as you can see here, if it does break down this upward sloping trend line, I would be inclined just to get out just in case. For me, it'd be a 1-to-1 trade. That's my personal opinion for this trade. Just because I want to get in and get out and get some profit in now. And then we're going to now go to pound yen. Now, pound yen personally, we did say a few weeks back now in April that we was looking for it to break down. It has broken down quite nicely here. It's now moving back up. I don't think personally myself this would be a valid retest just yet. I think there'd be a bit more oomph to this, maybe some tweezers, another high test maybe going creeping up higher. But 147.5 is definitely key. You can see it broke down. On the daily chart, what I see here personally is just lower highs, lower lows forming at the moment. At the moment here, we haven't really got anything significant as such. I'm not a fan just yet of it. I don't believe there's any bearish confirmation on the lower time frame. Let's have a look. Got kind of mini double top pattern there. The 1 hour 50 is on your side here. I just haven't got any confirmation. The 4 hour 50 is going against you here as well. So you got tweezers on the 4 hour 50 to go up, and you'll have 1 hour 50 EMA 10 you go the other way. For me personally, I don't think this would be the greatest trade in the world, especially when you compare it to euro dollar, for example. So I wouldn't want to trade this just yet, because at the same time, I do think the pound could actually power up anyway, and you'll be on the wrong side of this, where you could maybe look at another trade, like say dollar yen, for example, which would give you a bit more value for money, a bit more chance to the downside. So you look at dollar yen, for example, you can see straight away we tested the daily 50s, how messy this is. Tested the daily 50, moved back up, but couldn't really do anything and come back down again. So on here personally as well, you've got mixed signals. Even the weekly looks messy. So for me personally, I think most yen pairs will probably be like this. Actually, just have a look very quickly for you guys. See Kiwi, and it could go back up here. So the weekly looks good, the daily looks bad. Let's go CAD yen, for example. Same thing here. CAD yen, you've got a very poor weekly, messy daily. I don't like none of that. Aussie yen, we'll think Aussie dollar will go up. So let's have a look at here. Aussie yen has just mini two tests here at the top of 84.5 in a zone at the moment. I wouldn't want to trade that. Really can go both ways. So yeah, I wouldn't want to trade pound yen. In all fairness, it's not the greatest trade in the world. It looks as though it wants to go down personally with all the yen pairs, but they're all the same. Even with the euro yen at the moment, that looks very similar as well. So the weekly looks bullish, the daily looks bearish. So for me personally, I wouldn't want to trade the yen this week, and I'll be looking at trades like the euro dollar, for example, and that's a much cleaner trade. Okay guys, like I said, I'm sorry about the delayed in getting some information to you, and what I will do next is make you a monthly outlook now to see what we've got around us and how we can go further forward. Okay guys, thank you very much, take care, bye bye.